Hey y'all and howdy, welcome back to It's a Seago Thing. My name is Erin. This is a family-friendly, multi-purpose channel where I talk about anything and everything. Thank you guys so much for returning back to our channel, and if you are brand new, welcome to the Seago clan. I can't believe we're up to 124 subscribers. To all 124 of you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you so much again. Truly, we love you guys. We really appreciate you. The fact that you guys just tune in, maybe every week, maybe every day, maybe every time I post a video, but the fact that you guys tune in, I just can't even begin to express my appreciation for you. One day, we hope to reach as many people as possible, but for now, the first 124 of you, you guys are far more appreciated than you will ever know. So in today's vlog, we're going to talk about the first night of your foster placement. Now, if you are not trying to become a foster parent, if you are not trying to become, well, maybe a foster to adopt parent, maybe even an adoption parent. Forgive my my voice. Actually, it was improving. However, I can't complain that we have cold weather and freezing weather here in Houston, but unfortunately it has blown in some stuff that has kicked up a lot of the phlegm in my sinuses. So, forgive me, my voice may be kind of a little haggard here and there. Either way, whatever stage you're at, if you are trying to become a foster parent or an adoption parent, this video is for you. If you're not, please feel free to go ahead and turn this off. Unless you're just genuinely curious about what happens that first night. Alright, so let's break this down. First of all, I can only give you the experience and the knowledge that I have for being a foster parent in Texas. Now, I have come to understand by meeting other foster parents from other states that a lot of states do things differently. However, Child Protective Services handles how they process foster placements pretty much the same across the board. So for that, I can be pretty safe in saying everyone here can hear this. All right, so you guys hopefully have seen my foster care videos of the foster care process, the foster care license. If you haven't, and this is in the first 3 minutes of this video, go ahead and pause this video, go to my playlist of foster care, check out those videos, and then come back here. But if you've already seen that, all right, so here we are. You're licensed, you've been waiting, maybe you've been getting your phone calls, and now you get the phone call where you and your spouse say yes. And you're chosen. All right, so this is where things get crazy. Depending on what's going on, the majority of the phone calls that you typically get, unless your agency is notorious for calling you in the morning, every agency we've ever been with, and I guarantee you once we reopen our home, God willing, in 2019, I can't ever say for sure because you never know what tomorrow brings. But our hope and prayer is to reopen our home in 2019. And we're wanting to reopen directly through Child Protective Services. So we've been with a private agency before. Now we would like to go directly with Child Protective Services, which I don't think will be too different, really. But with private agencies, unless you know your agency is notorious for calling you, the majority of our phone calls that we got when we said yes, always were in the afternoon. I don't know what it is, but it's always in the afternoon. So it's always at the most inopportune time. When we got our call for the current foster care placement, it was spring break week. Okay, sorry, I'm like really congested. Spring break week. I was having lunch with a very, very dear friend of mine. Had not seen her in a little while. And I'm trying to think. Yep, it was spring break week, and I was not due to go back to work until the following Monday. And I was at lunch with my friend, which I never really get to do that. Sean was at work. We get the phone call. Of all times, my phone's acting up, his is acting up. He and I are trying to play phone tag because we're having to have the coordinator who was at our agency call both of us, because when my phone wouldn't work, I would be able to send a text, but I couldn't receive a phone call. And we were trying to get all the details, and we finally said yes. And we had literally just a few hours to alert everybody, basically alert our friends, let everybody know what was going on, let our family know, and get home and start getting ready. Now, this time around was very different for us because the kids ended up coming a day after we said yes. Normally that does not happen. Normally they come that day. So if these kids had come that day, because we had had some time to contact family and friends, contact our standby babysitter, and then basically contact our bosses and whatnot, make sure we had a few days off. So we actually, for once in our foster experience, had a little bit of time to prepare. Whereas normally you have hours before the kid arrives. Now, if it's a singleton, I will tell you that's probably much easier than a sibling pair or a sibling group. We have always done sibling groups, and it is crazy town. So in the times past, we had a matter of hours. When we got the phone call, again, it was in the afternoon. We would be rushing home, trying to spruce up our home, like vacuum a little bit here, wipe down counters and whatnot there. And I mean, it was crazy town. This time around, we had a much smoother transition, and I'll tell you why. So the first 2 times we fostered, I felt like welcoming those kids into our home was a disaster for us because we didn't have a standby babysitter. We did not have a designated friends list. Our family had not really been fully integrated or acquainted with the fostering and the necessity and just kind of what our expectations were. Now, because they had watched us foster a couple of times, you know, us letting them know, they were able to say, okay, we're praying for you, you know, let us know what you need, kind of thing. And that's always appreciated, because before, I think our family just tried to understand what our needs were, and we didn't even know what our needs were. And so it was hard for us to communicate to our well-meaning family what we actually needed at the time. And so this time around, you know, we had an organized friends list that was very local, because our family lives not really far away, but in Houston, you're about an hour's drive away. And so we have friends like really close by. I mean, within minutes. Whereas we have, you know, parents and siblings, it would take them anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half to get to us, which is really hard. So once we told them we have a standby babysitter, we have an organized friends list, you know, we have a few days off, you know, I think our family felt even more comfortable knowing that we had, you know, some organization this time around. That did not stop me from having a personal, from a personal emotional like freak out, because, you know, we do not have children. So we're going from 0 to however many children come into our home. And, you know, I was emotionally like concerned and worried and stressed and trying to make sure everything was, you know, going right and whatnot. But when you have a person who is certified through your agency or with Child Protective Services, who is designated there to be your babysitter, even if they're your date night babysitter, have them on standby. Have them ready to go. I will tell you, having that ready, and I can't guarantee that we'll always be able to do that in the future. I think we really, I know we were very lucky with this past experience, because this past babysitter that we did have on retainer, she was working other jobs and she was going to school. So it wasn't like she was just waiting for us per se, but she kept her schedule very open in the event that she did have to come on a moment's notice. And of course she knew that when we were interviewing this person. But having her made a world of difference, because when children come into your home, especially if they are not an infant, especially if there is more than one, you are going to be required to do a lot of paperwork, both you and your spouse. And they, as in the Child Protective Service agent, your case manager from your agency, oftentimes both people will want you there at the same time doing paperwork. Sometimes they'll want you at different times. Because you don't know these children and the children don't know you, you're already feeling frazzled and stressed and worried and concerned, and you're going to feel a lot of emotions. Both Sean and I went through a roller coaster. The first month, I was just emotional, because there was a lot to adjust to. There was a lot to understand and learn. And, for me, I constantly worry. But that first month, I was very emotional. There was a lot that I was worried about. There was a lot that I was concerned about. There was a lot to do in that first month. And really the biggest stressor for me, I am a huge planner, huge organizer. So when I don't feel like I'm in a routine and there's any kind of structure that I understand and that I can help implement into our new family, I become very stressed and I feel very overwhelmed. Once that first month was over and we were in a routine, we had structured in our home, we knew what to expect Monday through Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, life became so much easier. I wouldn't say that life was easy, but it became so much easier, and my stress went all the way down. I was stressed about a couple of things, but I was so much more relaxed. I was able to really bond with the kids. I was really able to, help myself navigate through my to-do list every single day, because we simply got into a routine and we started implementing that right away. But that first night can be crazy because there's a lot of paperwork. You're trying to adjust to these new kids. You're trying to understand, where they're coming from, what their trauma is, and how can you help meet them where they're at. They're also terrified, and they've probably been given very little information, especially if they're very young, such as babies and toddlers. They're obviously not going to understand what's going on. In our last foster case situation, 2 out of the 3 kids, for the most part, understood what was happening. I would say the oldest child understood that they were coming to a home that was safe and that there were nice people there. But the 2 youngest ones, the toddler and the preschooler, I know the toddler definitely didn't really understand what was happening. The preschooler, I think, kind of understood that we were just a nice place to stay, and that they were able to visit their parents or their family and their parent when they were able to, and then they came back to the nice place to stay. And that it was a safe place, and I mean by nice because that's how they kind of associate it in their minds. I will say having a strong friends list where you can call people and say, okay, we can start the meal train now. We can, if y'all can come over and help, please let me know. Start calling on your tribe and have one ready to go. This time around, oh my gosh, that made all the difference. There were people bringing us food for the first 2 weeks, almost every single day. Chicken nuggets, macaroni and cheese, spaghetti and meatballs, garlic bread, salad bags, dessert like brownies and cookies. They were doing. We had one friend, oh my gosh, what a blessing she was. she actually had someone who helped her out when they first received their foster babies. A woman that she was friends with came and did our laundry. Oh my God, it was wonderful. It was wonderful, and just having that help was just amazing. I had one of my dearest friends come over twice. One, she came over twice. She came over once as a play date, brought her little child over, who was the same age as the toddler in our home, and they were playing. She and I were able to, order pizza for the kids, have a little talk time for each other. We went to the park. There was another time where, Sean and I just didn't have it in our budget that week to have our babysitter come over. Our babysitter come over an extra day. So our dear friend came over and volunteered to give us 2 hours out of the house, where we just drove to go pick up some prescriptions, and we just drove around, and we were just together for a couple of hours, and she was able to take them to McDonald's up the street and then come home and play board games with them, because she brought a bunch of board games from her home. Having people like that in your life really makes a difference. You don't have them all come over that first night. That first night, having people drop food off at your front door, having people drop off donations at your front door makes a huge difference. This is why I keep telling it, all of you who are trying to become foster parents, trying to become adoption parents, get involved with a church or get involved with a nonprofit organization that focuses on foster and adoption care. This is where you guys are really going to need your village. After you get through the paperwork, trying to ease that child or children into sleep can be really rough. There are some times where it went really easy. I will tell you, we probably had an easy time every time getting kids to go to sleep the first night. That doesn't mean that they stayed asleep the whole night. And that can be really hard, and that can be stressful, especially when, you're just not in that mindset. One of the things that I learned, especially in this last placement, is to lower your expectations, to just take one moment at a time and to breathe. I may, in fact, I think I know I will. I may actually have to turn this on and watch this myself when we reopen our home, like I said, God willing, next year. Because you forget when you don't foster, you take a little break, like we're taking a break right now, you forget. You forget. But lowering your expectation, taking a deep breath, having people coming over either the next day or the next couple of days, helping you get to doctor's appointments, helping you get yourself organized, that's going to make all the difference in the world. It really, really, really is. Play dates, oh my gosh, play dates are where it's at. Absolutely, that's where it's at. But the first night is going to just feel crazy. It's going to feel overwhelming. It's going to feel insane. You may have agencies who tell you that you can't have people come over. That's not true. That is not true. We found that out the hard way. I wish I had had my family definitely come over the first time we had a foster placement, especially when we had infants in our home. Oh my gosh. That would have been so helpful. We just didn't know. We were so inexperienced, but we found out after the fact that we could have had our family. We could have had our parents come over and spend the night. So one of the things that I would suggest with your private agency, get involved with a respite list. Find out what requirements you need to certify people in your life to be respite care providers. And that may allow them to come over and spend the night for a day or 2 or 3. It's usually, here in Texas, it's up to 72 hours. And that covers you. That also covers the person coming to be with you. So if you have a mom or a dad or a sister or a friend who you want to come spend the night in your home just to help you transition as a family, find out how you can put them on an approved list through your agency, or if you're directly through Child Protective Services through them, so that way you guys are covered and you're not doing anything that's going to ruffle any feathers. One thing you will learn in this process, people's feathers get ruffled very, very easily. But just having things together for yourself. If you don't feel like you have it in the budget to have a babysitter, I understand. You know, Sean and I weren't paying this person. We basically negotiated a price for her once she was able to start working for us, but we encouraged her to work other jobs while we were waiting and hoping to say yes to a case. That may not be an option for you guys. And like I said, you know, that whenever we do reopen our home, that may not be another option for us because the babysitter that we had, she may not be available. And for us to find another one to put on retainer, that may not be an option. So we got very, very lucky that time. But I can tell you this, a lot of churches have services that can provide you temporary care just while you're trying to figure things out the first couple of days. My phone's going off. I'm trying to figure out what this is all about. All right. I don't know what that is. Okay. That's why I really try to encourage you to get involved in a church, especially ones that are connected with foster and adoption care for their parishioners. You know, you don't necessarily have to attend that church. If you're not really a big church-going person, look, I do get that. I do understand. I'm not here to preach, and I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm just saying there's a lot of good services there, especially for people who are trying to foster children in foster care, or those that are adopting children. So definitely check that out. This was a little bit longer than I expected. I am at work right now, so I had to kind of quickly wrap this up a little bit. But these are just some very strong suggestions to think about, really focus on, talk with your spouse about, see what you can try to budget in your life, or if you are strongly involved in a church or a support group or a community of some sort, really get involved and try to designate very specific people who can come over and be with you. Guys, fostering or adopting a child is very different from having your natural child. Now, granted, I do not have my own biological child, but I will tell you this from experience, watching my family who've had their own children, watching my friends who have had their own children, there is a huge difference than when foster children and adoption children, they're in your home like that. You don't have 9 months to prepare. You don't have a beautiful traditional baby shower. You don't have this maternity leave that just you can start planning for. Things happen at a moment's notice, and sometimes it happens before you're even ready to go. So just take that in consideration, you know, really try to get all of this, you know, set in your mind and with your spouse, talk this over, really try to figure this out that's best for you guys, but have a plan. That is the best thing you can do for yourselves. That's how you can succeed that first night. All right, guys, thank you so much for dropping by. If you like this video, please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, give it a like because I love my likes. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.